Oh, yes, we are live. Okay, so hello everyone again. Today I have Ramona. Ramona, I will ask you in a second just to introduce yourself a little bit of background about what you do today, and then give us your journey, how you got from A to B, basically.
Okay.
So the floor is yours.
Okay, excellent. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here. I love talking to people about uplifting things. It's just so much fun. My name is Ramona Galey, and I had no spiritual paradigm whatsoever until about 55, age 55, and I was very disconnected with my body. And that's important because when my partner died, what I considered to be my only source of unconditional love, because I had no, source, God, universe, paradigm at all, no beliefs. I had tried and I didn't. And when she passed away, I was suicidal. I was devastated. I was prepared to leave. I was actually composing my suicide note and the phone rang, and it was, serendipity. And somebody introduced me to the law of attraction. So I credit law of attraction and Esther Hicks, teaches Abraham Hicks law of attraction concepts. I credit them with saving my life. And since then, I've really been kind of on a mission to pay it forward as soon as I got my life in order at all. And I'm still working on it. I believe it's something we work on for the rest, for our entire lives. How good can I feel? How high can I get my vibration? There is no limit, right? The sky is the limit. There is no limit. So, I just really enjoy teaching what I've learned. And they say, if you really want to know something, teach it. So I love teaching it. And the more I teach it, the more I know it, the more I heal, and the better I feel. And then the more I can teach it, and then the more better I feel, right? So I'm just really on a kick now I want to teach every single woman on the planet to love her body again, because I am such a walking example, like a poster child, I guess, of somebody who was completely out of touch with her own body and learned to get back in touch with it. And now I'm more in touch with it than I don't even know, than probably most people, maybe even men. I don't know. Like, there's no competition. I'm just saying, it's like I am so in touch with my body now. And what I find is all the mindset work that I do, the meditation, the journaling, whatever I'm doing, when I'm aligned in my body, it's so much more powerful. And so my self-confidence, my ability to believe in myself, my ability to allow myself to have dreams, my ability to release resistance. Where does resistance live? It lives in our bodies. If we have a self-limiting belief and it's like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do that, that feeling is in your body. And when you can get into your body and really love your body, because how do you align with something if you don't love it or trust it? So when you trust and love your body and you get into alignment with your body, now it's easy to let go of resistance. So I'm excited to be here. I want to teach every woman on the planet one way or the other. Obviously, I can't work with every woman on the planet personally, but we'll look at this great technology we've got here that we were just talking about before we went live. And we can reach every woman on the planet. We can reach every person on the planet. So I'm excited.
I love your passion. I love your I can feel your energy. It's awesome. I 100%, like, people would look at me funny when I'd say, like, oh, so what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to fix the world. I want to heal the world. I want to save the world. I'd be like, what do you want? But I don't care. I'm just owning it. I feel that you have a similar mission, which I think is awesome. I'd really like to. I'd like you to maybe give us a little bit more about the alignment, because that's something that it's a foreign concept to most people, I believe. Alignment. So how do you get in? You mentioned a little bit about loving yourself, but beyond that, like, how, a little bit more about alignment.
Okay, so alignment, we can talk about alignment a couple of different ways. And you're right, for mainstream people who've never heard the term, maybe think of how your spine is alignment. Most people have heard about chiropractors now, right? Even if you've never been to one, the idea is that if your spinal column gets out of alignment, then you've got a blockage or you've got a pinched nerve, or, like, like all of the things that come out of that little perfectly stacked row of, you know, bones, whatever you call them, then, you know, then if, so when you get all that in alignment, then, I feel so much better. And I can, you know, I have equal energy on both sides, and I don't have any blockage, like, you know, pinched nerve or anything like that. So it's kind of like that, except for with your thoughts and your feelings and the actual, the vibration that you're emanating. So in law of attraction, we talk a lot about vibration. And whatever vibration you're emanating is what you're drawing back to yourself, almost like a magnet. That's why a lot of people say whatever you think about, you bring about. That's kind of what it means. It's like if I'm focused on something that feels good, if I'm focused on beautiful and pleasing things, then more beautiful and pleasing things can come to me. At the very least, I'm more aware of them, and then they actually are drawn to me. They come physically to my proximity. And if I'm out of alignment, if I'm mentally or emotionally or physically out of alignment, but mostly we're talking about mentally and emotionally, then it's a lot harder for me to focus on something that's good. Because think about it, back to that spinal metaphor again. If I'm in a lot of pain, it's hard for me to feel good. If I'm got something blocked, it's hard for me to find it. You know, it's like, where is it? It's, you know, so when we get into alignment, and that is by thinking more and feeling more, and of course the feelings follow the thoughts. When we think more about what we want instead of what we don't want, for example, we're going to get more and more into alignment. And my whole point is, once you've done that work psychologically and said, okay, I'm going to start focusing more on what I want instead of what I don't want. Okay, but sometimes I don't seem to be able to do that. Well, that right there, that resistance, that's in the body. So it's alignment here and here. And when they're together like this, you look at anybody who's done anything magnificent, that you will see alignment in the way that they speak. Congruity would be a more mainstream word, maybe. Integrity would be another word for it. So there's a lot of different words for it, but it's that sense of being in complete synchronicity with what you believe and with what you want.
Amazing. A few things come up to me that I have heard about this, which is what you pay attention to, you give energy to.
Yes.
So, you know, if you give a lot of your attention to the negativity, to the suffering, to the pain, then you're giving it more energy, you're feeding it more. It's just going to become more negative.
Absolutely.
And also with the resistance, if you fight something, it's likely going to fight back. So the more you're fighting with something, the more you're struggling with it. You're not letting it go. You know, it's very counterintuitive in a way, because we're not learned otherwise. You know, we're not taught otherwise. And I think it's so awesome that we are getting more and more exposure to these tools and to these methods, these resources, and I think it's so important. Can you give a few examples of how you align with your body? I mean, is it just presence? Is it meditation? Like, how do you connect with your body?
It's love. It's just love. Yeah. And I use all sorts of metaphors. I work with a whole array of women, and I'm specializing in women now. I work privately with men too, but I have a program that's specifically for women, so that we can all talk amongst each other, you know, about menopause or about sex or whatever it is we want to talk about. We want to talk about a safe space. It's just all women. So what I'm teaching is how to love your body. Now, most women, even the most beautifully aligned, high-performing, confident, whatever women, still are like hiding one little section of their body, or they're kind of self-conscious. You know, they don't want their spouse to turn on the light yet. You know, let me get under the covers, or, you know, there's some discomfort about our body, all the way up to complete self-hatred. You know, I mean, you talk about that some of the young women that have the anorexia and bulimia, that's a true self-hatred. That's killing 40% of the people who have it. You know, it's the leading cause of death in teenage girls. So there is a whole range out there. Even the master athletes that I work with, they're uncomfortable with how muscular their thighs are, their thighs touch, or maybe they're moms and they've got a little bit of a stretch mark. So their body is perfect except for that one thing, whatever that one thing is. Sometimes it's a little bit of fat right around the bra line, whatever it is. That's not love, right? So you would never go to, okay, let's say you've got 3 children. You wouldn't say, oh, you one who's who's gay or who's a little overweight or who's a little slower than the other two, you know, there's something wrong with you. Why don't you just hide over there? You would never do that to your child. And so I use this as a metaphor, like, why do we do it to our bodies? That's not love. You learn to love your body, and I can teach you how to love your body very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you love your body, then all the resistance starts to fall away. Sometimes just naturally, sometimes through practices. We have little exercises and things we do, but it's the love. There is no power greater on the universe than love. When you love your body, you start to trust it. You start to listen to it. You care for it. You respect it. You don't try to control it. You don't try to browbeat it. You love it. You know, it's like any other kind of love. But it's self-love, and it's something that we're taught not to do. We're taught actively not to self-love. Don't be arrogant. Don't be vain. Self-love is the key. That's the pivot point right there, and it's very easy once you boil it down to really basic components like that.
I literally said that in one of my previous videos.
Yeah.
I was looking and I was trying to figure out what my passion is, my purpose is a few years back, and I was doing this exercise that said, you know, what your traumas are, what your hardships, the challenges that you've been through, your pain points, and what's an underlying like common denominator in all of them. And for me, it was a lack of self-love. And I realized that a lack of self-love, like had I had self-love, I probably wouldn't have experienced any, you know, like, or nearly any of the horrible, horrible things that I went through, because
I agree.
I would have protected myself. I would have respected myself. I would have, you know, realized that I'm worthy, that I don't deserve that kind of, you know, treatment, etc., etc. A lot of my traumas, if not all of them, were a product of self-hate. I literally hated myself so much, and I recently also I just uploaded to the group. I'll send it to you as well. A little like exercise, a little worksheet on what the definition of beauty is to you, because it's just a little exercise. Because I think that the way we love ourselves, or the limiting beliefs from loving ourselves, is this definition of beauty that we have that we don't live up to. We don't measure up to it. So we're always looking for the flaws. And I wrote that, you know, my definition of beauty used to be like Angelina Jolie or Margot Robbie or Naomi Campbell, like these, you know, these societal standards that we've been conditioned to kind of have on what beauty is. And for me today, the first time I really felt beautiful was when I was at my heaviest in pregnancy, with multiple chins and thighs touching, and my butt was triple its size. But that was the moment I felt most beautiful, because I really respected and loved my body in that moment. I was like, wow, I am creating life inside me. It just shifted everything. And then I became really, really in awe of nature. And I see beauty in just I write this as well in the workbook, that, you know, my vegetable garden, the cucumber vines that they tie themselves around, it's mind blowing. Like, they're living creatures, these cucumber plants. Like, I never looked at things like that, and I'm like, that's mind blowing to me. That is beautiful. That's insanely stunning. I'm in orbit. And then my body's a living thing as well. You know, it heals itself from a scratch. How does it do it? That's magic. Like, our bodies are magic. I really, really have this completely shifted perspective now of the human body, and just nature in general. And I think that so many people aren't awake and aren't seeing that. They're not seeing the miracle, the magic that our bodies are, you know. And so you'd love it any shape, any size, and, you know, whatever it is, because, you know, like, I actually loved myself more the minute I was humongous.
Yes. Well, I love that. That is such a beautiful story. And I want to point out something. What you just did is what we call a rampage of appreciation. When you start just kind of going on about how great something is, whether it's yourself or a plant or whatever it is that you feel so great about, when you do that rampage of appreciation, that builds up your alignment between your thoughts and your body, because your body gets involved and you raise your vibration and you're feeling really good. Appreciation is a perfect expression of love. And that's a way of getting love actually into your body. Because when you have limiting beliefs, you know, like I was 59 and 60 when I lost my 50 pounds, right? Everybody would have told you, and everybody did tell me my whole life, that at that age, you can't lose that amount of weight. Postmenopausal women, you know, have to be heavy or can't lose weight. I have Hashimoto's. That's an autoimmune disease, a thyroid disease. People said you can't possibly lose weight like that. You have to eat like this and this and this, and you'll always have all these medical troubles and all this stuff. When all of that is what, none of it is true, first of all, because there is no truth other than whatever you think. Whatever you think right now, that's your truth. So there's no truth that's like scientific fact coming at me. And when I believe those things, I call that resistance. That resistance is in my body. As soon as I start loving my body, all that resistance fades away. It has nothing to do with me. It has no importance to me. It has no power over me. And I can just let it go, boop, just like that. So beautiful. I love that we're on the same path here. And this is really beautiful.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And I really do believe that our bodies don't process food. They don't digest. They hold on to our bodies. Our bodies are kind of mirroring our emotional, aspects as well. Emotion is energy, and we're energy. We're energetic beings. What are we made of? Energy, like little moving particles. We're just energetic people, like we're energetic creatures. And I think that if we hold on to energy and it's negative energy as well, then it's reflected externally and in our bodies. It physically manifests itself as well in disease, often, not always, I'm generalizing, but it could, in disease, in weight, in etc.
Absolutely.
And I spoke to someone recently about who's trying to lose weight, and I said, love yourself first, and it will shift. It will fall off. Like it won't even, but it won't matter even, And a friend of mine said, well, if it's like, it feels counterproductive because I don't want to love myself because I want to lose the weight. And if I love myself, then maybe I won't be as motivated to lose the weight. Like, and then you kind of, and I'm like, I don't know how to like express it in a way.
Next time you talk to her, tell her that the weight is the symptom. She's trying to cover up or remove the symptom, and the underlying cause is the lack of love. And as soon as she loves her body, the symptoms will start to reflect that love. I like that metaphor, symptoms.
Yes. I 100% agree, and I use that as well in other areas. So it's funny that you brought that up as well, because it's 100% true, and I'm surprised I didn't think of that for this situation as well, because I 100% believe that our behaviors, our negative behaviors, are symptoms of underlying problems, and we try and cope with the symptoms. We try and cover them up or numb them or fight with them, put a band-aid on them and just kind of and a lot of oftentimes I think medication, for anxiety, and not in all cases, but I think sometimes it's you're trying to deal with the symptom, whereas the underlying problem is still going to be there. You need to focus on the problem. You can ease perhaps the symptoms, but it's your body trying to speak to you, say, hey, listen up, something's going on, So
and also that symptom, by resisting it, by trying to cover it up, by ignoring it, by denying it, by medicating it, all of these things are an attempt to control it or to somehow manipulate it, right? All of those things feed it. That's like shouting no at something over and over. That's all that energy makes it bigger. It makes it grow in strength. Every single time you try to negate something like that, when you resist your resistance, you make it bigger. The only true power against resistance is love, always.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay, cool. So law of attraction for you. You mentioned that there are a few tools that you like to use. So there's meditation and journaling. any specific kind of meditation, guided meditation? How, like, do you do this daily? Like, what's your experience with these?
No, I actually encourage people to find their own form of meditation. I can give you 20 different examples to try, but everybody is unique in that way. And most of the people who are still experiencing some fairly high level of resistance and kind of not in touch with their bodies, they've tried meditation, and I'm going to do it in a way you can see this. Okay, there we go. Failed. They've tried it and they failed. So,
Yeah.
so it's really important to only do that which feels good. Only do that which feels good. So find a meditation, and it could be singing in the shower. It could be walking the dog, but it could, you know, in other words, and it will change. Your ideal meditation today is, first of all, not going to be my ideal meditation. And then tomorrow, one of us might be different from what we were today. So it's an ongoing, it's an organically developing love affair with yourself is what meditation is, right? It's, I mean, it's a theory, you know, literally it's an opportunity to let the mind settle down and quiet so that we can spend a little bit of time in solitude, like really connecting with ourselves. But it is a chance to be with ourselves, and it's not, shouldn't be any kind of a high pressure thing. It should be something that you enjoy. And if you're not enjoying it, find a different format. Moving meditation works really well for people. Anybody who's tried it, any kind of sitting meditation, and didn't like it at all, it's because they want really, their bodies really want to move and they're asking to move. So dance, yoga, but like Tai Chi and Qigong, things like that, like things that are really kind of more fluid, because a lot of people are really in touch with the fact that the universe is always moving. It's always very fluid. And if you're attempting to stop it, you know, then that might feel like, oh, this just doesn't feel good. So, and that might be what their resistance is, rather than them resisting their minds. They might be resisting their body, you know, their body's resisting this attempt to be real still. So, but we have Rampages of Appreciation, like I mentioned before. We have Vortex Stories. We have a whole arsenal of tools that people can use. The Pattern Interrupt is really great. There's just a lot of different things that I teach. I have an entire program. It's a transformation. It's like an immersion transformation program. And people learn to love themselves and their bodies very quickly using these techniques that I'm talking about, but they're very specifically pointed just basically towards learning to love your body. And then everything else flows from that. Everything else is just easy. Everything else, like, oh, now I can make more money. Now I can find the lover of my dreams. Now I can get, you know, my perfect job. Like everything flows from that, like everything.
Amazing. I love the fact that, I mean, so many people think that meditation is sitting cross-legged, going, you know, and having to not think, and they fight the thoughts and they struggle with it, and then they say that I can't do it. And I love the fact that I think you're the first person that has actually just explicitly said it's whatever feels good to you, that you're just present with yourself, and you're just, you know, you're like in the flow kind of just being.
Yes. Yes.
Whatever that means for you, whatever that may be for you. I have heard as well that sound, you know, using your voice can be very, very healing and therapeutic as well. And many people respond very well to that. Movement, as well, as you said, that's awesome. I never thought of dance as a form of meditation, and it really is. It's true.
It really is.
I love swimming. Swimming was very therapeutic for me, and that was I could just do lengths. I could go for an hour and just go back and forth swimming. I love swimming, and I guess it must have been a form of meditation, but also painting and writing. Like, you literally just kind of. I also always thought that meditation was just this kind of meditation, and then I felt that I was perhaps not being genuine or authentic or truthful if I was saying, because I said I meditate for the last 4 years, but I found meditation not to be sitting cross in a little room with candles around me and like that's not what I found, but I feel that I'm meditating in my own ways. I also love guided meditations. Guided meditations really you know, the visualizations. I'm a really visual person, so I love those.
Yeah. Good.
But yeah, quieting the mind is so important, and just being present and being. And Eckhart Tolle, he meant, I love Eckhart Tolle, and he mentions that someone asked him, what does he do for fun? And he said, well, fun for me is where I find joy, and it's just in being, just looking out the window and seeing the bird, just being. That for him just brings him joy. And to be honest, I've had in the last couple of years, I had these very, very specific moments where I can say I felt pure bliss, and they were just where I stopped and kind of took a step back and looked at just like the snapshot of whatever was going on in the moment. If it was my family and I had my newborn baby, whatever it was just, it wasn't anything special, like but it was so special, you know. And there's no, I just kind of dropped in, and I was just like, oh my God. And I do that now more and more often. I try every day to just drop in as often as I can. And then I realized, like, I'm so happy. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on, and I'm far less reactive. Things are far less triggering. Or even when I am triggered by something, I can then kind of bring myself back and say, I even say, I'm sorry, I was just really triggered right now because, you know, it reminded me of this and this and this, whatever. Like, I apologize, but, you know, communicate it as well. It's just a completely different experience of living.
Completely different, like night and day. Yeah, totally, absolutely.
And to think where we were, you know, like that's something that I really want to kind of, it's the point that I want to really get across to the people that may be watching this, that are really struggling and really, really suffering, that it's like, I can't even express and put into words how much suffering I experienced and how much I hated myself, and how 180 degrees is my experience today. And it is just literally through these tools that, you know, we've been talking about, and this kind of journey. And it is a journey, it takes time as well in practice, but it really is, it can be just pivotal. It can just be like smack bang, that 1 minute where you just wake up and then you can't unsee it. It's done, you know, and you're like, okay, and you just feel different. And then it's getting used to being this new person as well. Like, a lot of people don't talk about adjusting to like this new, it was very surreal for me to suddenly feel happy. I'd never felt happy before, like properly happy. It was really, I don't know. Now
it can be, I'm totally with you. I'm just really enjoying your story and your perspective. It's beautiful. You're beautiful, and you know, the whole thing about helping the people who are struggling. I think it's really important that that we don't see them as struggling, because it would be like looking at my body and saying, well, I'm still a little bit overweight, you know, therefore there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my body. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with anybody, even if it's the most hardened criminal in, you know, in prison, or whatever, you know, the homeless person on the street, whatever we're going through is what we're expressing in our physical experience. And that's what we came here for. We came here for what I like to call the drama. Now, that's a controversial word because a lot of people don't like drama, like drama queen kind of a thing. But I like remembering that I came here for the variety, for the contrast, for the drama. If I were still in non-physical in my entirety, you know, everything's just kind of fine there, you know, like kind of perfect, or you know, like, in other words, as soon as I achieve whatever it is that I want, I automatically want more. Like, we're more machines, right? Like, we just want more and more and more. And drama is part of that. So this dance that we have with contrast and with resistance and with each other and with what we want, and, you know, somebody who's down here in terms of what they're focusing on. Let's say somebody who's very angry all the time, which is a fairly low vibration experience, in emotion. So if I'm angry all the time, I'm not really thinking about how blissful it would be to own a mansion, on the seashore. I'm thinking about revenge, which is a little bit higher vibration, right? It gives me a little bit more power, a little bit more control. So I'm not thinking way up here. I'm not aiming way up here. I'm just aiming to there. And then when I'm there, then if I'm lucky, then I'll start looking for there, which would be like, maybe acceptance, let's say, okay, just fine, whatever, that's a higher vibration. Then, and if you work yourself up the emotional scale, then you're into like, oh, bliss, oh, appreciation. This world is so fantastic. It's gorgeous. But if somebody's standing up there in this beautiful thing looking down on me because I'm in this real anger place, then that's not helping me to get out of my anger. Like, oh, doggone it, I'm just really awful person because I'm so angry. No, I'm fine. I'm perfect, just right where I am. So when I see somebody, no matter where they are, as perfect, I help them see themselves as perfect. Now you're loving yourself because you're fine wherever you are. You're perfect. You're perfect. You and I are both perfect, no matter where we are, whether we're triggered or not. And I love that word, triggered. And I love that you can identify right away that you're triggered. What a skill to have. What a beautiful, phenomenal skill to have. That's gorgeous.
Hard to unlearn the just feeding into it and to kind of step back. But yeah, no, it's life changing. It really is life changing. Yeah. But wait, so what, just out of curiosity, how would you refer to, I say people that are struggling right now, so how would you phrase it? Like, what would be the
I think they're perfect. I tell them they're perfect. I tell them they're beautiful and they're perfect.
Okay. So
and they immediately stop struggling.
but don't see it? People that don't see their own beauty and their own perfect? Like, how do you refer to it?
If I tell somebody just walking down the street who's obviously having some sort of a, let's say I see somebody angry, and somebody's having a rage attack out in the street. I don't know them at all. If I try to tell them they're perfect, they can't hear me. So when I say I tell somebody they're perfect, I'm talking more about like clients, people who've come to me who've said, okay, I want to feel better, or I want to change this thing in my life. And so I start with, okay, great. First of all, let's just see how perfect you are right now. And I help them find that the perfection in where they are right now. And that might take a while. If I'm in a private session, typically an hour session, the first 45 minutes for a new client who's really what you would call struggling, a couple different things in their life, not going well, not feeling good, a lot of split energy, split vibration. The first 45 minutes might be a little bit of, and then the last 15 minutes be like, oh my goodness, I feel so much better and I have so much clarity on what's been going on. And now I can see, basically they forgive themselves for whatever's been going on, because when you love yourself, you forgive yourself, just like the child metaphor, right? If a child accidentally does something wrong, you don't hate them forever for it. You don't hold them responsible for it for the next 14 years, keep reminding them of it. You say, it's okay, sweetie. We all make mistakes. And so now we'll just learn from here. And so when you can help somebody get to that level of alignment, there we go back to that initial word that you asked about, alignment. When you're in alignment with yourself, then you're starting to love yourself. And now your vibration can rise very quickly. Your awareness, your abilities, your skills, because this stuff is not hard. It's actually not hard. It's really simple and easy once you understand it. And so I really do think between the two of us, I'm thinking 1-2 punch, we can get out there and change the world.
I love it. On that note, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to take that to the world I'm in. Ramona, I'm gonna thank you very much. Generally, I like to say, what's the one main thing that the one main tool? But you said self-love. You already said that in the first couple of minutes, so we've covered that.
Women, love your bodies. Women love your bodies. Women love your bodies.
Yes.
Thank you, Emily.
I'll write in the description. Send me links to any of your, all of your workshops, your pages, anything that you have. I'll put that in the description.
Okay.
And any resources also that you have that you think would be helpful to share, then please send my way and I'll share as well in the group. And
Absolutely.
thank you for being here with me today and with us.
Thank
And
you.
I really appreciate you. Thank you, Ramona.
Thank you, Emily. Bye-bye.
Bye.